I, F27, had a childhood friend Angie, F27, who was as close as a real sister. We spent entire weekends at each other's place, celebrated family events etc. from 6 years/0 till 18 years/0. Elle even lived at her place in 2nd grade while my parents went through a nasty divorce. I learned to speak some Russian, as she is Russian, and she learned to speak some Spanish. Needless to say, her older brother and little sister were like a family to me. During our teenage years she had her 2 male best friends, one whom she started dating, and another one, Nico, now 29, who was Russian as well, whom I started dating at 17. Growing up I had issues with a heart condition. I won't bore you with the details, but I had to take a lot of meds, but got healthier starting from 16. One didn't have to take them daily but only when my heart rate became irregular. But then immediately, as it would become extremely painful, my heart would cramp, I would start to hyperventilate. All my friends knew this, Nico included, and that I would black out if my meds got taken with alcohol. I didn't smoke much or drink much growing up as a result, since I was worried about my health and only did drink at home or in a safe setting. Legal drinking age is 16 here and I only drank wine or beer if at all. I had my first time with Nico at 17, and when my parents stayed at a retreat 2 weeks later he came over to have a date night. I did drink 1 glass of wine, but starting having health issues later resulting in me taking my meds and being unconscious. I was a bit sore the next morning but didn't think much about it. 2 weeks later I'm informing Nico that I'm late on my period and he starts to panic, confessing he had sex with me while I was unconscious. We had it before, so he didn't think much about it. Apparently he didn't have a condom, but since I was on the pill he figured it was alright, and he also didn't come in me, but in a tissue. I felt violated and disgusted by myself. I didn't know how to describe this and only told Angie about it. I was an utter mess for a few years, and wasn't able to have sex again until 2 years later. I didn't remember any of it, but was too ashamed to go to my mom or anybody else. I didn't think of it as rape back then. I was too young to really understand what and how I was violated, and Angie told me it's alright, I should break up if I feel bad about it, but we were in a relationship and did have sex before. I broke up with him the following day, and apparently he cried about his broken heart to her. As Nico and Angie were close and hanging out together a lot, they started dating a few months afterwards and I had to see him every time when visiting her. I told her LM not able to see him, but she didn't understand where LM coming from. The contact stopped and we haven't texted or seen each other in years. I still followed her, and her family, and saw that her brother is expecting his first child. As I was extremely close with her family I just commented on the Insta post expressing my gratitude when he reached out to me. I missed his wedding but he wanted to ask if I would be interested in joining the baby shower as it's been years and we've been extremely close before. He told me I was like a third little sister. I just asked if Nico will be attending as well, as Angie and him have been dating for 9 years now, and he said yes. I didn't elaborate much but just expressed that I'll send a small present he can give me his current address but won't be attending. He kept on pestering me what exactly happened all those years ago and why I'm not in their lives anymore. Angie told her family LM not able to see her with an ex of mine, but her brother thought there's more behind it. This is when I think I could be the asshole. I told him the truth about what happened back then. And while I didn't know it at 17, I know now that this was rape and I named it as such. I didn't receive any message back from him, but a few days later Angie reached out to me, furious. Nico had planned to propose during the baby shower, but Angie's brother is against it now, having learnt why I stopped the contact. She loves Nico and will stay with him, but by doing so, her brother said she is no longer a part of his life, as he doesn't want his little baby girl in the same family as a rapist. Since then I've been getting messages from old school acquaintances, telling me I should have ignored it, and not told anybody. Since I didn't speak up back then I lost the right to do so now, and I'm a horrible person for ruining somebody's life over some stuff he did 10 years ago, when he himself was a child as well. Am I truly the asshole for speaking up? Update 1. Reading all the messages defending my choices on speaking up made me realize how insecure I was on what I am allowed to do and how much I was trying to make it right to other people besides myself. This especially included Nico and Angie. All of you are right. If Nico had changed he would have apologized, reached out or tried to make amends in some way, either when word got to him from his brother-in-law or at some earlier point in his life. My former best friend Angie should have been able to feel some sort of compassion if she had any respect for me as a human being or the time we spent together. Her reaction showed that I shouldn't hesitate on my actions. I went to therapy from 21 onwards and thought I moved on from the rape as best as I could, but I realized how ashamed I still am almost 10 years later about an incident that wasn't my fault at all. I was ashamed to speak up back then and afraid that people around me would look differently at me. And somehow I still felt bad about speaking up today, so I tried to own what happened to me now and not apologize for other people's behaviors, especially as they don't even show me respect. What happened since then? I archived every nasty message I got on WhatsApp so I wouldn't have to read them, but would have the proof if needed at a later point. Angie's mom called me the following day of the incident, crying. I shouldn't have answered the phone, but during the 10 years of friendship I saw her as an aunt, almost a second mom. She always joked that while her children would run around the house doing whatever, I would always take the time to drink a tea and talk with her, showing her more love and time than her actual children. While she said she's sorry for what has been and for what I went through as a child, she couldn't believe that I would ruin Angie's happiness over something like that. With Angie's brother refusing to have Nico as part of the family and Angie standing by Nico's side, it's divided their family and she is heartbroken. She has grown to love Nico like family as well and has known him for nothing more than a considerate young man who she knows will make her daughter happy. It wasn't nasty names or angry talk, just a heartbroken mother who faked to acknowledge my pain and saw the fault in me. Angie's mom tried to get me to apologize or to take it back, but I refused as I don't see the fault in me. With everything that has happened, I believe that Nico hasn't changed and is just hiding it better somehow. He can see how people are standing by him and supporting his behavior, so he won't have to change. And that is something I didn't want to indulge. Angie's mom not even one used the word rape, and I tried to correct her every time she talked about it, trying to name it for her to understand better, but she would just start sobbing more and it didn't make sense for us to continue to talk. Angie's mom used to be in contact with mine for some time, and she reached out to her after our talk. I was afraid that my mom would find out, since she's from a more conservative background. We had a long talk and I didn't get to see her, physically, yet, but she apologized for not being there for me or not making me feel like I can talk to her. I tried to calm her as best as I could, but when she asked me if my current partner knows I was used like that, I got angry. She was scared my partner would leave me if he found out, implying it was something that made me less precious or appealing. When she asked me to keep it a secret from our family abroad and in our country, I hung up. She was acting exactly the way I was afraid she would, as if it's something shameful. It was especially hard as I am trying my best to move away from the feeling of shame. She has since apologized, but it's clear that her view of me has changed. I don't yet know how to deal with it, but that's something to worry about in the next few weeks. As some of you suggested, I wrote Angie's brother, Sven, again and apologized for the mess, but I'm glad that it is out in the open and how proud I am that he's defending his family. I asked if his old email is still working as I would just send a gift card. He didn't respond, but I got a message from his wife 2 days ago. She thanked me for speaking up and informing them about Nico. There were apparently had a few moments that made her uncomfortable, some jokes Nico made, and in retrospective she can see why. Sven apparently informed her the moment he got my initial text, and both of them have since seen Angie but not Nico. She refuses to be in the same room or house as him, and same goes to their unborn daughter. Sven and Angie's mom has been at their place multiple times to beg to forgive Nico, and Sven caved a little. Angie and Nico will get married, Sven will attend but his wife will not. He is allowed in the family but not in contact with either Sven's wife or daughter. Those restrictions are not for Angie. Sven was suffering trying to ease his mother's worries and is not able to take a stand and cut them out completely. This is a compromise they made without his wife's approval, and she told me she's trying her best to cut them out of their life indefinitely. She wanted to move back, closer to her family as well, and thinks this is a perfect opportunity but isn't sure if she can follow through. His wife told me she's terribly sorry for all the issues that came my way and it has been a lot trying to handle the situation on their side. Sven knows it's not my fault but he doesn't want contact. It's hard for him to talk or see my name because even though he knows I'm not the guilty party, in some way I was the bearer or bad news and he sees me as the start of all this drama. She told me a few times that neither believe I'm the bad guy, they just are tired with everything and it's just been extremely hard on them. That's all that has happened so far. I am frustrated about how everything came to be. It feels like Nico will just continue with his life without having to be remorseful. I didn't want him to suffer, but I think some part of me wanted to at least receive some kind of apology for all the suffering I went through afterwards. I'm having to deal with my mother and her changed shameful view on me, and even though I'm happy it's all out, it's extremely hard to stand by my choices. My partner and my best friends both have been my shoulder to cry on during this ordeal. Especially my best friend was enraged for me, and I am extremely grateful to have both by my side. Right now I'm just emotionally drained, but I'm sure it will be better once a few weeks passes. Update 2. My first post was 3 months ago and this one will be my last update for now. It is not a good one, but I sincerely wish to leave it all behind me. That includes distancing myself from this Reddit account. These posts helped me let go of my anger, similar to a journal, and I am grateful for all the people who are enraged with me. I hope to open it again someday, with a final happy update, but for now every little pop-up is a reminder of the anxiety I am still dealing with, and I do not have the energy to deal with this topic outside of my therapy anymore. Short summary for those who don't want to read the old post. Nico raped me when I was his girlfriend 10 years ago. I didn't see it as rape back then as I was unconscious. Afterwards I broke up with him. Shortly after, my best friend Angie from elementary school started dating him and they have been together for almost 10 years. I couldn't bear seeing him and cut the contact with her and her family, with whom I was really close. Her brother Sven reached out to me 3 months ago after I left a short congratulation on a pregnancy picture with his wife. He invited me to their baby shower and I declined. After a lot of back and forth about him asking me and being suspicious as to why the contact broke off in the first place and why I refused to be in the same space as his sister's boyfriend, I confessed what happened back when I was 17. Afterwards his family had a huge fight, with him wanting to cut Nico out of their lives for being a rapist and his mom and sister standing by Nico. I was the scapegoat and received a log of hurtful messages from both their friends and former classmates. They called me out on ruining a man's life based on a childish mistake. Nico was 19 back then, and even Angie's mom reached out to mine. I was left to pick up my life, my mom being more ashamed than understanding, and started therapy again. I removed almost everybody tied to that incident: Sven, Angie, Nico, their family, old classmates, and only kept contact with old classmates who sended me messages of support. Update 3. However, they have been getting frustrated with the amount of calls and apparently even reached out to the police, and the calls have stopped since. Nonetheless, they reached out to me to check on my mental well-being, offering to give me paid leave till it settles a little bit, and offering company paid therapy. Therapy is covered by my country's health insurance, but it is tricky to get one without waiting time. But I already had my old one on retainer and started going right after the incident. They made it clear that they invested a good amount of money in me and do not wish to lose me. I was ashamed that this part of my private life slipped into my professional one. It started to influence the career I worked hard for years to build, and while my company assured me that it would not affect the workload and clients I'm getting, word got around, and it was clear for my colleagues that I'm going through something nasty, and the company does not want to deal with it. All this stress and anxiety led me to hyper-focus on my work. I took on whatever I could, paranoid that another call would come and for whatever reason, the company would move me to dead-end department where my career would basically be over. At the same time, I started looking into different companies who would be able to buy me out, as I am tied to my current company for 5 years after graduation. 3 more are left, and I got a management position in a rival company with a huge salary jump. I couldn't be happy about it. I was just relieved I wouldn't get the pity looks from my colleagues anymore. I went to the police with all the hateful messages and the HR protocol with the call history, and got a restraining order for Angie's mom. Should she contact my new company again, I have a public LinkedIn. It is needed for my job. At least I have some sort of proof that her words hold no meaning. I got asked if I want to persuade the rape, but decided against it. It would open the whole ordeal again. I don't have proof, besides Nico and Angie not denying it, and quite honestly was afraid of what it would do to my career. I did keep contact with a good friend of mine who grew up in the same small town but moved away 5 or so years ago. As we share a Nintendo Switch online family account, so we tend to be in contact at least once a year for a short phone call when she has to send me the money for the subscription, and we just tend to make a phone call with updates out of it. Yesterday was one of those days and the whole Nico thing came up. While she didn't hear it directly, her mom is still living in the small town and reached out to her, asking if I'm alright. She expressed her disapproval about how everything came to be, as she was close with Angie back in the days as well, and remembered how close we were and how often we spend time together, like sisters. She updated me that 2 months ago Sven's baby girl was born, and while neither Nico or Angie were seen in any of the pictures or stories with the baby, a month ago Angie and Nico had an engagement party. Both Sven, the baby, and his wife participated, and are in the family pictures. I remember how enraged Sven's wife was, and how she told me she herself felt uncomfortable with Sven. Now it is all forgotten and forgiven. Nico's parents own a few houses and gifted Angie and Nico a house close to their home, and Sven and his wife apparently bought a house in the same street. It is as if nothing happened at all. Listening to my friend telling me the updates, I'm honestly not sure if I should have asked her to not tell me anything. I just feel empty and betrayed. Not by Angie, she made her choice, not by Sven. It is his sister, and at the end of the day when he asked me what happened and then didn't have the decency to answer me because he saw me as the one who ruined his family, it was clear that the truth didn't matter. Not by Sven's wife, who has a baby girl, an innocent daughter who she should protect as a mother, even thought she told me she would do her best to keep her daughter away from Nico, but just by life. I fought to have it all behind me, just to have this old wound ripped open again 3 months ago when Sven kept plastering me. I got hate messages, but knowing that maybe someone would be hesitant towards Nico when he showed strange behavior made me feel like maybe I did right. Maybe by speaking up I helped a girl out to not be raped. My own mother was ashamed of what happened to me, told me I was to keep it quiet so my family abroad wouldn't get to hear it. Just for it all to be all good again for Nico. After everything that happened these last 3 months, I truly understand why victims of rape chose not to speak up. Now on to second story. Husband resents my new independence from nursing school and close friendships. He now unleashes constant rage and hurtful accusations at home. My husband and I have been together for 16 years. We have 2 kids. It's mostly been a good relationship, with normal ebbs and flows. The past year has been pretty difficult on my end, and I think I've reached my breaking point. I just want to make it clear before I start that my husband is a good man, and I do love him. I've been a stay-at-home mom for most of our marriage. It was out of necessity rather than desire on my part. My husband was working at building his business, and we needed the flexibility of me being home. I had a job I loved, but I didn't make much, and it just made sense at the time. I also homeschool our children because it works well for us. I did all the normal stay-at-home mom stuff, dinner, cleaning, laundry, bills, etc. He did help when needed and was never resentful of it. He worked very long hours, and lots of weekends, but I supported him because owning his own business was his dream. About 3 years ago, I started to feel some fatigue from being the primary caregiver of our children. I wanted more, and our business was pretty stable, so we agreed that I'd go back to school. Our children are old enough now that schooling them is less hands-on, so again, it made sense. I graduated with my 2-year degree last year and started nursing school shortly thereafter. This is when things started to get rough. Nursing school is a total time suck. It requires so much time and so much energy. We discussed the shifting of responsibility and how difficult this was going to be on all of us, and he said he was supportive. He started making snide comments about things he was doing at home, things I had always taken care of, things that I guess he just didn't realize I did. I tried to communicate with him, see what could be done to make things easier on him for this transition. He is not a good communicator though, so I didn't push, a mistake on my part. The comments started getting more frequent, and meaner. We've never been mean to each other. It's just not how we fight. Or rather, hasn't been how we fight. He started getting resentful of the time I was up at school, or volunteering. I do volunteer quite a bit. Summer came and I thought things would get better. I got a job where I work a few days a week from 7 to 7. I love my job so much and it's really nice to finally be able to contribute to our income. It's really empowering. Over the past few months, I've become a lot more independent. Historically I've needed my husband a lot. I had some really serious depression after our kids and I couldn't do much without him, like, go to the doctor or grocery shop or whatever. Over the past 5 years I've gotten that under control. Through nursing school, I've made a lot new friends that I like to spend time with. We grab quick dinners, and sometimes head to the movies. This apparently bothers my husband, though he's never actually verbalized it. I started to come home from an activity, volunteering or a night out with friends, to rage on his part. He would yell at me, call me names, and say horribly hurtful things. He went through and read my text messages, trying to find something I'm doing wrong. My friend group is mixed female and male, and most are younger than I am. When I come home, I never know how he'll react. Last night was pretty bad. He stopped replying to my random I love you texts, and this morning didn't bother to say it back. He's hanging up on me, he's ignoring me, he's treating me really badly. He twists my words and ascribes them emotions that I'm just not feeling. I feel like I'm dying inside. Any self-esteem I've gained from following my dreams, he's crushing. While I don't think he's abusive, I feel a lot like I did when I was in an abusive relationship. Walking on eggshells, trying to test the room when I walk in. Afraid to do anything that might upset him, being overly nice so that he'll be nice back. To be clear, I'm home most nights. I might go out with friends once a week, or twice, but once is during the day. Like this week, Sunday I went to dinner with a friend that was leaving for New York the next day. I was gone / 2 hours. Monday I was home. Tuesday I was working all day, then went up to the school for midnight registration. Wednesday is my weekly volunteer day and whoever is volunteering goes out for food after for about an hour. Today I'm working a short shift. Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday I'm home. I'm just done. I'm so tired of feeling badly about myself. Like I'm doing something wrong. I've tried to talk about all of this 1,000 times. I never fight back when he's yelling at me or calling me names. I've suggested counseling, I'm going to therapy myself, but he's not interested. The problem is, I don't want my marriage to be over. I love him and I promised him forever. I don't break my promises. I just want things to go back to where they were a year ago. I need help. Update 1. While my original post didn't get a ton of feedback, I thought I'd update. About a month after I posted, I asked him for a separation. He agreed. I moved out and I've got my own place now. I thought maybe moving out would be the wake-up call that was needed to save the marriage, but it wasn't. However, it turned out to be the best thing for all of us. We share custody of our children, and they transitioned to public school and are doing very, very well. I'm doing pretty well, too. It's been hard, and there have been a lot of ups and downs, but it's been worth it. We're all so much happier now, and my ex and I are working really well together to co-parent our kids and we're even friends. We'll always be there for each other, but we're better off apart. Not the happy ending that I was hoping for, but a happy ending nonetheless.